Hey, 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 happy Monday, y'all, and welcome to Monday Night Live, a time I connect with you every Monday, 7 p.m. EST, to align biblical principles with your professional journey. I'm always excited, blessed, humbled, and thrilled to have the opportunity to pour into you. So, this is for you if you are just starting out in your business journey or if you've been in business for years. So, as you come in, those of you that come week after week, you know what to do. Tell me hello, tell me where you're joining from. If, as I share, what I'm sharing resonates with you, I step on your toes, you have an aha moment, I want to know, and I'll be looking in the comments after I do this quick review at the top. All right. So, with that, this is part 8 in a series that I've been doing called Master the Marketplace, the 10 Commandments to do business the way God intended. One of the main reasons anytime I do anything is spirit led, but one of the things that I know that I'm sharing in these episodes are the things that I wish I knew when I started my business. Things that either will help you be successful, or if you don't successfully resolve these areas, then your business will never be successful. So your business happens in an atmosphere. So yes, every business needs sales, marketing, you need all the things, strategy, you need all those things. But the atmosphere that all those things happen in can hinder your success. Okay. So if you've missed any of the episodes, I'm going to encourage you to go back on my YouTube channel, nrjnetwork.com, and watch the episodes. I'm going to do a quick review of 1 through 7 because tonight is number 8. So, number 1, you must say yes to your calling. By the way, in case you're new joining me, the way that I teach, one builds on the next. So, I'm always going to encourage you to watch every part 2 series that I do because my goal is to be here 30 minutes or less because you've had a busy day already. And I want to impart some strategy, insight, some tools for you. And I want to do it quickly. So, that's why there's always a series. Well, not always, but mostly. Okay. So, part 1, if you missed it, you must say yes to your calling. Listen, God gives you the calling, but He will not. He gives you free will. You got to say yes to it. Number 2, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I talked a little bit about that last week too in part 7. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Who you are today is great, but there's another version of you. And so you've got to be willing to get outside of your comfort zone to go and get it. Number 3, you must be a servant leader. Again, these are the 10 commandments of doing business the way God intended. Number 4, you must have a singular focus. I'm trying not to start teaching because I'll start teaching these again, right? So, servant leadership, Jesus is our example of that singular focus. I see so many people that are doing too many things in their business or they keep shifting and they wonder why the business isn't working. Number 5, you must draft a winning team. I took some cues from the NBA draft in that episode. Number 6, never underestimate your competition, which was a playoff for number 5. Then last week, number 7, you must operate in integrity. I used Miss Cleo as an example of that. So if you missed any of those, you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, go back and watch them on my YouTube channel. They're all 30 minutes or less. Some of them are 20. nrjnetwork.com is where you go. All right. So with that said, this week we are at number 8. Number 8 is you must own your value. What I think is so interesting in the work that I get to do with entrepreneurs, and I see people are joining, so say hello, as my mother would say, don't, or grandmother would say, don't walk in his house and not speak. In the 25 plus years that I've been a coach, and even in my own journey, Can I tell you that this is the place that so many people are setting their own self up to fail? When you don't own your value. Whether you realize it or not, God created you to be a Bentley, not a Pinto. Come on, somebody. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. God created you to be a Bentley, not a Pinto. So there's some things that a Bentley can teach you that will have you move in a wealth mindset instead of a poverty mindset. Listen, broke is not biblical, as my mentor would say. Broke is not biblical, but many of us sign up or somewhere in church we think, oh, well, we got to struggle to do what God has called us to do. That ain't real. Hey, queen, right? And so I need you guys to get this. You've got to understand that God created you to live abundantly. Your brilliance, your purpose is the key to do that, but you've got to own the value of it. Foundational Bible verse here is Psalms 139, 13 through 15. I'm reading the ESV version just because this is a Bible verse that many of us have heard. I will praise you for I'm fearfully, wonderfully made. But I wanted to do a little spin on it, right? So this is the first part of that. Again, it's Psalms 139, 13 through 15. For you formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intrinsically woven in the depths of the earth. See, God made you a very specific way. He created you to be the Bentley of your own time and space and lane. The question is, do you know it? hmm Right. And here's what I know. This happened in my journey too. So many people suffer from imposter syndrome. And those of you that have ever heard of imposter syndrome, let me define it for you. Then I'm going to give you some tools to release it, to stop underestimating your value. Okay. So, imposter syndrome, this is the definition I got offline, is a tendency to underestimate your worth and attribute your performance to outside causes, not to who you be, but other things that are outside of you. The research found that if you have imposter syndrome, it's an unwarranted fear of exposure that has no basis in fact. Many people that I meet, and this was me too, y'all, and if this is you out yourself, are afraid that somebody's going to find out that they don't know what they're doing. Now, when you're just starting your business, yeah, you don't know what you're doing because you're new to entrepreneurship, but that doesn't mean that your brilliance is any less discounted. You're still just as brilliant, even though you're just starting your business. And so you got to know the difference. You might need to learn some business framework, but it doesn't mean you are not brilliant. I often say this to my clients. You might feel like you're at 60%, which back in the day when we were in school was a D, right? Y'all remember that? Well, your clients are at 5%. So you might feel like you have more to grow, but they're way behind you. So your 60% will help their 5%. You've got to understand that and stop underestimating your value. Listen, the findings in a recent study show that if you have imposter syndrome, regardless of your age or gender, you devalue your objectivity, measured performance, and attribute any positive results to external reasons such as luck and or chance instead of focusing on your own abilities. So if you're going to own your value, let's first talk about the 5 ways that you're living with imposter syndrome. Okay, 5 ways that you may be underestimating your value. Okay, so number one, and I want you to out yourself and find where you are. And I'm going to give you some tools, but I want you to first find where you are in this journey. Okay, number one, you're overlooking your brilliance. You're overlooking your brilliance as even being valuable. These are things I hear all the time. People say things to me like, well, everybody knows how to do this, or, oh, this is easy. It's easy for you. It's easy for you because it's the way you are wired. There are things that are intrinsic to my DNA. I remember when I had the opportunity to write program for Steve Harvey, and I was working with him, and I was just thinking of stuff, and he was like, "Wow, that's good." Well, that's the way I'm wired, so it was coming out of me effortlessly without me having to think about it. And he kept saying, "How do you think about that so fast?" It's what I do. I'm a producer. It's what I do. I can see people's gifts and think of all the programming that happens around it. Hey, Carol. And I'm not bragging about me because I'm clear. My gift was a God given, is a God given gift, just like your gift was God given. The question is, are you standing in the full power of it? Are there other people that do what you do? Yes, but nobody does it like you. Mhm. So when you say things like, who would pay me for that? Which moves into number two, you don't charge what you're worth. And so what happens is, When you're just starting a business, again, you might be new to business, but it doesn't mean your brilliance is any less than what it was before you started your business. You know, the brilliance that you bring in a paycheck for, that six-figure paycheck might have gotten you that corner office, might have helped you matriculate through a corporate career, doesn't dissipate that. It doesn't. So when people are hiring you, even if you're new to business, you're not new to your brilliance. You might be new to looking at your brilliance in this way. Y'all with me? So what people are paying for, they're not just paying for your hour, right? I love it. Queen said, that's me, number two. That's right. So when people are paying for that hour of time, what they're also paying for are the years that you spend in the industry honing your craft, your graduate school, your undergraduate, or any other certificate programs that you've been through, plus the hours you've spent learning and growing in that craft. They're paying for that. That is the value of who you be. And then it's the way that you are uniquely wired. That is how you do what you do. So since I just talked about Steve Harvey, let's talk about comedians. Now, all of us can say different comedians that we are, fans of. I might have a favorite, like my favorite is Cedric the Entertainer. You might have a different favorite. The reason all of us can be in the same room and like different comedians is because all of us are wired differently. Just like there could be three churches on each corner, and all three of us, or all four of us, there was three of us, we could each like a different church. Because the way I'm wired is not the way you're wired. And so what you're going to like is going to be different than what resonates and feels good to me. So what happens is when you don't charge what you're worth, then you listen. Profit, the word profit means to gain. When you make profit in your business, it helps you do more. So when you're struggling in your business, how do you serve more people? How do you put in the infrastructure and systems you need to grow and serve more people? The other thing I see people do is they do it for free. You're giving your gift away for free, which means you are not charging for what you're worth. You're discounting your brilliance. And if I take a word from Steve Harvey, act like a success, you're giving your cookie away for free. Right? So you've got to understand God created you. He wired you for profit, to gain for the kingdom, but also to gain for yourself so that you can eat, live, and have your being. And so that the more you do, he wants you to multiply. Talk about that in a minute. Number three, when you start your business and you do what you see everybody else doing. God did not create you to be a copycat. He never intended for you to be a second-rate version of somebody else's first rate. Matter of fact, if you're doing the same thing somebody else is doing, then why are you needed? If I'm copying the exact thing Oprah's doing, why am I necessary? Because Oprah's already here. Oprah's already doing it. So for you to start your business and do something just like somebody else, you're leaving out your own secret sauce. I see people do this all the time. When so and so's doing that, okay, good for so and so. Doesn't mean you need to do it. You need to be clear on how you're wired and how God crafted you to serve that group of people. If what they're doing is in alignment with that, great. But still, I bet you every single thing that person does is not in alignment with what you do. So just because I remember a couple of years ago, I remember when everybody was doing those pointing videos on social media. I was so sick of that. And the pointing, I was like, I'm not doing that. And my social media team was like, let's do some point videos. I was like, no, not doing that. I said to them, because you want me to do it because you see everybody else doing that. Is that in alignment with my brand? And my social media person laughed and said, no, you're actually right. I know. So you don't do it because you see everybody else do it. You do it because it's going to resonate with your ideal client and it resonates with who you be. Number four, this is a big one, not valuing your time. So listen, I started my business. I had 2 daytime jobs and I had my business. Okay. I just got married and my bonus kids were teenagers. Sharing that with you because those of you that have teenagers, you know how busy teenagers are. How did I do all of that? Still had date night Friday, still went out with my girlfriends. I managed every single minute of my time. The thing that's interesting is when you go look at Genesis chapter 1 and 2, God also shows you how to strategize your time. Listen, God could have made the world in one day. He could have made the world in 1 second. He chose to do it in 6 days and then take off the seventh day. He was showing us how to be strategic with our time. Genesis 1 through chapter 2. So read chapter 1 and 2, but I'm going to read chapter 2, 1 through 2 says this. Thus the heavens and the earth, all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had done. So God didn't, again, he could have done it all in a blink of an eye. He chose because he values time. My question to you is, how are you valuing your time? Are you always in overwhelm? Are you procrastinating? Are you burned out? All those things mean you're not valuing your time. Listen, no is a complete sentence. Sometimes the answer to your problem with undervaluing your time is telling people no. Can't do that. Mhm. Number 5. Again, this is about you undervaluing who you are and not owning your value. The fifth reason is when you don't play full out. The number of people that want to do a get rich quick scheme, or they want quick fast. How do I do that quick? Mm-mm. Again, a Bentley. So if Bentley is our example. Oh, let me go back because I forgot to share some stuff. Okay. So I'll do that in my review. So if Bentley is our example, you never see a Bentley cut corners. You don't say, well, let me put a Pinto engine in the Bentley. I'm going to save some money. Mm-mm. So it's not about cutting corners or finding the cheaper way to do it or trying to do it really, really fast. Listen, you want everything to be world class quality. If I am a representative of God, if we're each little representatives down here for the kingdom, God wouldn't want me to do it cheap. So why would I do it cheap? Now I might be able to make it look like I spent $5,000 and spent 50. That's different than me cheapening my brand and watering down the brand called me. Just like that's the same for you. So let me do a quick review. And then I'm going to give you how to nail the Bentley mindset, or you can call it wealth mindset, but I just like Bentley. So, number one is you're overlooking your brilliance. This is the 5 ways you're underestimating your value, the 5 ways you're living with imposter syndrome, and you may not even realize it. Number one, and find where you are, overlooking your brilliance or overlooking the value that you bring. Number two, not charging what you're worth, or even being afraid to close a sale. Listen, a Bentley never goes on sale. So Billy knows its value. And if you walk into a Bentley dealership, and I've done it, because my brother-in-law has a Bentley and I haven't bought one yet. And they're not going to haggle with you. This is how much it costs, period. Period. You never will also see a Bentley commercial on TV. I haven't seen one because they don't do sales. I can go on and on about that. Number 3, when you do what you see everybody else doing, you never see a Bentley trying to be in a class. Listen, a Bentley's in a class all by itself. That's why I'm using this example of a Bentley. And God created you to be a Bentley as well. Number 4, not valuing your time. And then number 5, when you don't play full out. So if you're dealing with any of those 5, and I want you to pay attention to your days. If any of those 5 creeps in, that means that you are undervaluing your worth. So let me give you quickly as I start to wrap up. And let me say this. In order to get into a wealth mindset, you got to understand, I said this a few minutes ago, that somewhere along the way, churches signed up for a poverty mindset. And many pastors believe that you have to be broke, and that's not real, y'all. Now you should be humble. I was thinking about greedy and humble. You should be humble, and you should not be greedy. Humble meaning that you know that your revenue is a gift from God, and you're willing to pour back into your business to do more of what you're called to do. Now, does that mean you can't buy nice things? No. Because when you look at people in the Bible, like Joseph, like Esther, who was a queen, like Abraham, I can go on and on. Even if I go in New Testament, because I know some of y'all are gonna say, "Oh, that's all Old Testament." Matthew and there are several women actually in the Bible in the New Testament that were donors, funders for Jesus's ministry. Hello, rich woman, like Lydia and Acts. I want you to understand that having this Bentley mentality is about being the abundantly above all that God ordained each of us to be. Proverbs 10:22 says, "The blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow with it." The blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Jeremiah 29:11. This is the ESV version. This is my favorite one. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord." Oh, that's not the one I meant to read. Deuteronomy is the one I meant to read. Where's Deuteronomy? Oh, I didn't put it on here. I think it's Deuteronomy 8:18. Oh, there it is. That's in my number 1. Queen says, "Does someone does doing something for free for the opportunity to network and move ahead, is that reasonable?" It depends on what it is. Okay. So you don't have to give away something for free to network unless it's something that's an appetizer. Okay. So, if I'm going to a restaurant, there's a difference between an appetizer and a whole meal. What I mean by giving away your stuff free is when you're doing a whole coaching series and you're giving it all away for free. instead of giving them a little taste of maybe an ebook or 20-minute, or even these little 30-minute things I do with you guys. I'm not coaching you. You're getting a taste. That's a difference between this and a whole program with me. My clients know, like Carol is a client. Carol knows I give way more than this in my programs. So you've got to understand that people need to experience you, yes, before they'll buy, but you can't give all of it away. Okay. I love it. Queen said, appetizer versus full meal. That's good. Right. Full meal, they need to pay for that. Appetizer, you can taste it. Right. That's a taste test. So let me give you now the three tools to stand in your Bentley mindset, in your wealth mindset, in your abundant above all. Now, listen, I'm not a prosperity preacher. That's a whole genre. I'm not touching that. I'm a profit teacher because God wants you to gain. The word profit, if you look it up, dictionary definition says to gain. So my question is, how are you gaining for God? When you're underestimating your value, you are not gaining for God. You're definitely not gaining for yourself. So you definitely can't gain for God, right? So here are your three tools to stand. Number one, focus on God's big picture for you. What's God's big picture for you? So Genesis 1:28, and those of you that have been around me for a while, you know that this is my mandated scripture that God put in my spirit years ago that I teach from. Then God blessed them and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion. God created you to have dominion. So do you know the arena and the lane that God created you to have dominion in? That's what you focus on and stop trying to be everything else. And so you've got to be empowered to live out your assignment. Here's the next Bible verse here, and this is one of my favorites. Deuteronomy 8:18. This is what I was going to read a second ago. And you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers as it is this day. See, he swore to Abraham that we each will be wealthy. He made a covenant with Abraham that every one of his sons and daughters and all of us are descendants of Abraham, right? Here's the last Bible verse here, 2 Corinthians 9:8, and this is NIV version. And God is able to bless you abundantly so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. You can't do anything without money. You can't run a business. You can't pay your light bill. You can't pay your mortgage. You can't pay your car note. Money, hell, it was needed and necessary. It's what you do with it that's going to make a difference, right? I appreciate you, Carol. And you guys can't see when I see the comments. So I appreciate you, Carol. And Carol's actually a client too. So she knows she gets the extra pour that clients get. So listen, the second reason. So number one, three tools to stand in your Bentley mindset. Number one, focus on God's big picture for you. Number two is use fear as fuel. Listen, when you're playing bigger than you've ever played before, it's going to be scary. So instead of it stopping you, understand that what's happening is God is looking to expand your territory. So the enemy's going to use the fear to try to keep you where you are. What I often say is fear is faith in reverse. You can either have faith or fear. Faith and fear cannot coexist. You're either going to push forward in faith or you're going to stay stuck in fear, which is procrastination at its best. So instead, when something is scaring you, that's that comfort zone trying to keep you where you are. Understand that that's the fuel for you to push yourself past it. Then what I'm going to always recommend is find the tools you need, whether that's a coach, an accountability partner, both, so that you can begin to get what you need to move past that place of fear. Okay. Hebrews 11:6 says, but without faith, it's impossible to please him. Talking about God. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. See, when God is calling you to play a bigger game, it's going to be scary, y'all. It's going to. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, here's your homework that's going to help you. Number three, you've got to celebrate who you already are. Yes, you may be moving on and growing into a whole nother version of you, but you've got to celebrate what you've already done. So here's my homework for you. Create your already done list. Go take a piece of paper out. And here's what most women do. We are so focused on what we need to do next, we forget to stop and celebrate what we've accomplished. So what if you stopped and celebrated what you've already been able to do? So take a sheet of paper out and write everything you've accomplished. Listen, you graduated from high school, you graduated from college, you whatever career milestones you met, the certificates you've gotten, the children you've birthed, and go on and on and on. All those things are milestones. Those are things that you've completed. Listen, I paid off almost. I'm almost finished paying off my student loan. I got like 3 payments left. That's a celebration for me. So, well, I pay off one loan. I got one more loan to pay off. But I want you guys to get this. All of those things are things to celebrate. And I think oftentimes we don't celebrate ourselves. We need to stop looking for everybody else to celebrate us. And we have your own self a party and celebrate what you've done, right? And every time from this day forward that you accomplish something, I want to encourage you to celebrate yourself, to stop and say, girl, I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you, and then finish that sentence. So create your already done list. And then the second part is that, girl, I'm proud that you, and then read what you've done. So you're having a moment of fear. You're having a moment where you've forgotten who you are. You're undervaluing yourself. Take that list out and remind yourself of who you are. You know, one of my favorite scenes in Black Panther, which just came in my mind as I'm talking to you, is I scene where King T'Challa, and I use this example all the time, y'all. So if you're around me, I use this example a lot. And why do I use this example a lot? Because this happens to many of the women that I'm blessed to coach and teach. You forget who you are. So in Black Panther, the first Black Panther, if you haven't seen the movie, where you been? Anyway, King T'Challa falls out, Chadwick Boseman, and this is when he's fighting the Bear King, Jabari, and he looks like he's not going to get up. And Angela Bassett says, this is my horrible African accent, by the way. She says, remember who you are, right? And as soon as she says that, he jumps up and begins to fight. He stands in the big picture God created for him. He uses fear as fuel, and he remembers who he is. So as you begin to understand that God created you with value, you came born here with value already. As you begin to understand who you are and how you're wired, and you begin to grow in it, let me encourage you as we end this number 8. We got 2 more to go, y'all. That you've got to own your value. If you're going to do the thing that God crafted and created you to do, which is going to be bigger than anything you ever thought, imagined, even dare I say, believed for yourself, because God will always dream a bigger dream than you can ever dream for yourself. You've got to own who you are on a whole new level. All right. So with that said, that's it for this episode. If you find these episodes value, let me ask you to do a couple favors. Number one, share in the comments the one thing you got valuable here. The second thing is, will you do me a favor and share it? Share it with your network. You never know who in your network needs this insight. Just say, hey, girl, whatever, she's great, whatever you want to say, but share it. Some they need to listen to this, right? And then, and for you to be, for you to get notified, sorry, try not to choke. When I'm live, make sure whatever your favorite Facebook, I see some people here from Facebook, some people here on YouTube. I don't know that LinkedIn will show me when you're watching on LinkedIn. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, whichever place you look at, so that you get notified when I go live. All right. So with that, that's it for number 8. I'll be back next Monday for number 9. All right. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.